I had very high hopes, and there were some parts, we touched on are good, but the vast majority of my takeaway is if this had never existed, I would have been perfectly fine with my life.
Right.
Because one of the things that's really bugging me, or actually really did bug me because I already finished all of it, was the editing, where it's just like, we're just going to do like 2 or 3 minutes of this segment.
Oh yeah, I didn't care for that. I didn't like that. It was too jumpy. It was too TikTok-y.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the way it's formatted at all. I don't like that.
Yeah.
So once I realized what they were doing, I'm like, all right, this is just little sketches. And I was like, okay, so I'm either going to like the sketch or I'm not. And some of the sketches are funny and some of them are not so funny. And it's like, all right, can we just get past this one so we can go back to the funny sketch?
Yeah. And because there's like, I would think it's like 4 total that are like large segment continuing sketches.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I mean, I think all of them are fairly. The Russian one's a little boring to me.
Yeah.
I think that's a little dull. I do like watching Jack Black as Stalin, though. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yes, and I was going to highlight that was one of my favorite parts. I wasn't sure whether you're at if that happened yet or not.
And I did like I liked the Curb Your Enthusiasm Jesus thing.
Yes,
I thought that was funny.
Did find that fun.
The Wanda Sykes thing, like the old 60s TV show thing, that's kind of dull.
Yes, that is very much my takeaway is like I initially kind of liked the idea if that had been a short segment, but that's one of the big long ones.
Yeah, I figured as much.
And it just keeps going, and it's like this was barely acceptable as a one-off.
Right.
And I'm on the impression that the weird blocky editing was almost like them as the show acknowledging, like, yeah, it's not great, but she's providing a lot of money. Let's just break things up and just kind of intermix it, and the other stuff will carry it.
Right. My favorite thing so far, from what I've seen, is what's his name? Tahiti Wakiti, or how do you say his name?
Oh yeah, I think it's like Taika Waititi. Taika. What? Now I'm messing it up. Yeah, but him, sure.
Yeah. When he played Freud.
Yeah, that was fun.
I thought that was fun. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
it was hysterical. This makes you.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the good ones.
Fucking human, man.
Mm-hmm.
What's this cocaine?
But see, that was too short. I was like,
way too short.
Longer.
Way too short. Especially like, oh, look at this drawing here. It just looks like penises. It's like somebody wants to sleep with their father.
Yeah, that was
great.
Definitely a highlight for me.
And then they zoom at the cactus. Everything's a dick. It's like zoom in on a cactus. Everything's a dick. That was pretty funny. I'm guessing that you could probably take that series and like edit it down to the really funny bits and probably have like an hour, have like a movie length.
Yeah.
And
I feel like if they had taken the different segments and put them together, so like you're watching the Civil War stuff all the way from beginning to end, you're watching the...
Yeah, I would have liked that better. I wish they would have done that. Well, maybe they'll re-edit it like the season 5 of Arrested Development.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, we might see something like that.
They did Hitler on Ice.
Yeah, that was fun, but at the same time, I wasn't like really laughing. And then I saw, and because after I saw everything, I was like, I want to look up some reviews online and see people talking about it. And they pointed out a really good thing about like that segment that I had the issues with, and I think they hit the nail on the head, which is that while they obviously did it because it was in the original movie, when they were doing it, they weren't really adding extra stuff. It was like they were basically saying, like, here's Hitler being an ice skater, and now we're all just talking about how awful of a person Hitler is.
Hitler is right. I know. I didn't.
And it's like, well, yeah, but you're not adding. You're not giving something new to this. It's just, yeah, Hitler's an awful person. Is that the joke?
Yeah. Somebody pointed out it's like a bad. It's like no bad. I wouldn't say bad. Pretty accurate actually. It's like watching SNL skits without the live audience.
Yeah.
It's like watching the dress rehearsal of an SNL skit.
Yeah, I also saw a description that I also feel is pretty accurate, that this is like if Mel Brooks were teaching a college class and these were all segments that students submitted as their final projects.
Mm-hmm.
There were some stuff that was good, like the Freud thing. I will hands down agree. Like I was legitimately laughing for that.
Yeah.
But and Jack Black as Stalin, for whatever reason, like there wasn't hardly anything else about that segment that I found funny, but it was like his over the top facial expressions.
Right.
Like he knew what he was there to do.
Right.
Like he understood the assignment.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
That for some reason that got me.
Yeah.
But so much of that I was just otherwise like, okay.
Right. I like to just focus on the stuff that makes me laugh, and it's stuff that's not, I just like let go by and whatever.
I could generally agree with that. I think that, and it might be because I was sitting down and binging basically start to finish for these. There is a lot of times where there's too much of a reliance on, look at the people in the past making references to modern stuff.
Yeah, I didn't really care for that. I didn't like the whole like it's funny for like a couple of seconds about as, like half a TikTok video's worth of content, like for her to be like the Anastasia to be like on social media or whatever. That to me just came off as like really like trying too hard.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that was a lot of it for a lot of these skits. When they established the initial setup, I'm like, oh, okay, this shows some promise. And then they get to the 2/3 mark to start wrapping things up or getting somewhere with it, and it just goes downhill to me. It's like they didn't know how to like bring it home from there.
I haven't finished it yet, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, even episodes 1 through 3, I would still make that argument.
But don't the segments continue?
Yes, but I'm saying each individual segment to me feels like it has that issue.
Oh yeah, it doesn't really. It's not a cohesive segment. It's all very disjointed, and it feels like they didn't know how they didn't. Like you said, I think it would be better if it were edited all together. Like, okay, now we're doing the Jesus thing. Now we're doing the Stalin thing and the moment. The problem is I think they, like you said, I think they even recognize the fact that this certain segments, like the Russian thing, is boring.
Yep.
It's dull. It's not interesting. It's not funny. And the humor is kind of there. I mean, there are elements of it that's like kind of like, haha, kind of smirk a little bit if you like history, But but a lot of the jokes are old and stale. Like we've done this before. We've made fun of this to the point where it's like, okay, there've been enough people that have made fun of, all of that stuff. There's nothing new. There's no new humor here, and there's no new takes on any of this stuff in history.
Yeah, because the like for the primary segments that there are,
could have done some Revolutionary War stuff. That would have been interesting,
right? Yeah, because that's I think some of my issue as well. There's not enough variety. Like you have all of history that you could go with, since they have basically established that they're not going to have this be in any way a continuation of History of the World Part 1, but just we're just going to throw in whatever, whenever. Although the French Revolution is what they ended with, so there would have been plenty to work with if you wanted to just say only post-French Revolution.
Yeah, which is where they went to the Civil War, which is what I thought, okay, well, that's the next natural thing. But they could have done Revolutionary War. They could have done Renaissance. True. They didn't really go to the Renaissance, I don't think, in the original movie.
I mean,
well, the Inquisition.
Do you want any spoilers?
I don't care. That's fine.
Okay, because that's like it's hardly a thing. The beginning of, I don't know, episode 5 or 6, they do a thing where it's Galileo having a TikTok channel.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And yeah, exactly. Like they did that joke basically already with Anastasia.
Right, yeah.
And they literally do that with...
Well, it sounds like
yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Galileo. It's just a few segments for that one episode where they literally show a modern-day cell phone, and he is on doing standard TikTok stuff, and there's like messages on the side as he's going. and then it ends with it being called, instead of TikTok, it's Tiki Taki. It's like, okay, it's as dumb as it sounds.
Yeah. It sounds like a bunch of people like here, they got their assignments. Hey, we're doing a bunch of skits for this History of the World Part 2. Everybody writes a thing.
Well, yeah, if you see at the end, there's like something like 15 writers credited.
Yeah, so everybody got their shot at writing it. And of course, there's overlap. And then somebody had the same idea. Because everybody wants to do that. Oh, let's go back in history and make fun of modern culture using old technology. It's like, it's been done so many times.
Yep. Yeah, it's like they should have picked at most a top 5.
Yeah.
And then been like, okay, these are the references that are just too good to pass up.
Yeah.
We got to do them, guys. You know.
But if you looked at
then all the rest throw away.
Yeah, if you look at the original movie, it's not, because I just watched it recently. If there's not,
same here.
There's not. They don't reference anything modern. Everything is referenced in and of its time.
Yeah, like, because I was thinking about that, like the Roman, but when he's going to get unemployment, I'm sure the Romans didn't have a equivalency of that.
Yeah.
But not only did that work as a good joke, it also gave us more information about that particular character, of him being a out of work, individual.
A bullshit artist.
Like, okay. Yeah, exactly. So not only did it have a joke of hey, let's have a modern thing being done in that time frame, but it also helped for character development as well as just being funny.
Right.
So yeah, that's a different thing. But I was having that same thought. It's like in that original movie, they kept pretty much true to wherever they were at.
Right.
And then the jokes were based on that.
With just like line references. Like they didn't go do all the whole thing, like the TikTok thing or the Instagram thing or whatever. They did They did like, where'd you learn that? 125th Street. It was referencing referencing the modern world, but just in a phrase. It wasn't, I'm not gonna say it's not really worth watching. I guess there's some funny parts to it, but so far, and I am enjoying the parts that are funny. It's funny, and I'll laugh at a lot of stuff, and I'm not as critical as you, but it.
Well, since you don't care about spoilers as much, another thing that's going to be coming up that I had issues with is, so like you say, they just did the Jesus segment, right? Where it's like, okay, it's like Curb Your Enthusiasm, everything kind of came at the end, and I liked how they did that. I was like, oh, look at that, all right. So they do another Jesus segment, all the same actors. And instead, they're doing it as a, like we're the Beatles situation.
Oh no!
Yeah, and it ends with the same like Judas giving up Jesus bit, and it's like, but you already did that. Are you establishing 2 different Jesus timelines now? What the hell's going on now? In addition to me just not being funny.
Yeah.
Because it's them literally like in a recording studio, like a modern day recording studio, during basically the entire multi-part segments. And it's them just being British and being like Jesus is supposed to be like Mary Magdalene's like Yoko Ono, and they specifically even call her Yoko at one point, but yet there's no reference to her breaking up the band or whatever, so it doesn't really work. It's just like, what are you guys doing here? So yeah, that's a part of it, and so I found that to be weird because that's one of the longer parts that's connected to the previous Jesus, but yet it's also not at all.
Really low, really just like dumb. I mean, it seems weird to think about. You would think that people like these people are supposed to be professional comedians. What the hell?
Yeah.
Why are they not making better jokes? They should have hired better comedians. That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I don't want to like just keep shitting on the Wanda Sykes Congresswoman thing, but there's like nothing redeemable to it, and it's even the whole thing. Like they had to open it by explaining who that character is, and I'm like, if you're gonna be making fun of history, shouldn't you be choosing people that people know about? Like, was there no other options for this kind of thing? And it would even be something if they ultimately turned it into something topical or something interesting, whatever. It's literally just a sitcom. Like
Yeah.
every one of the segments is just sitcom. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, okay, fine. You know, even introducing this person that really existed that didn't have a spotlight up to now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean I wouldn't have gone that choice, but if you want to do that, okay, fine. But take something with that and connect it to much larger events that are more relevant and more being able to make fun of or something. They don't do that at all in any of that whole
larger
long bit.
events. Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, because that's what the original movie did. It was all
Right?
based on like Caesar and then the Inquisition.
Mm-hmm,
And then what was after that? Was that the French Revolution? It's good to be the king. Is that was after the last?
I think so. As far as like any major segments go.
Yeah. Piss boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's one of the very early episodes where they have in that bit, it's like, oh, we're gonna have like Nixon over for dinner.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, so they are going that direction. We'll see what they do. And it's literally standard sitcom, the boss over for dinner shenanigans.
Yeah.
It's like, are you making fun of sitcoms? Because I'm not even getting that impression. You're just kind of doing a sitcom, like a bad 70s sitcom.
Right.
Like, is that the joke? That it is what it actually is?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, because it looks like the 70s, even though it was supposed to be what? Yeah, it would have been the 70s Nixon, unless it was like late 60s. It would have to be like late 60s, like 68, 69.
Well, I think they established it specifically 1972.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. That's Nixon. So
because
it must have been right before Watergate.
Running for president then.
Wasn't Watergate 72? Or was that 74?
Yes, and in future episode, they go to Watergate. And I guess just to spoil what that is, she's trying to drum up supporters. And there's like two different groups that she's trying to get support for. And they both have an event at the same time. And she has to try and, run back and forth, to go to the two different events, while also not having her husband realize that they aren't there just for a vacation.
Never heard that one before.
They literally do that. A whole long-ass segment of there is no joke beyond that. That's it.
So you're not making the rest of it sound that great, but I will watch it.
I mean, I have a lot of negative criticisms, admittedly. I think probably more than maybe most people would.
No, because I looked on IMDb. It's getting shit on pretty good.
Okay, yeah, because that was my thing. It was like I had very high hopes, and there were some parts we touched on are good, but the vast majority of my takeaway is if this had never existed, I would have been perfectly fine with my life.
Right.